Hi, I'm Rebecca and welcome to episode 4 of the Creabea Knitting podcast. I'm Rebecca, I'm a knitter and all-round maker based in London but originally from Scotland, and this is a vlog or a podcast where I talk all about knitting, so what I've been knitting, what I'm currently knitting on and what I'd like to be knitting on in the near future. Welcome if this is your first time watching, it's nice to spend some time with you, and welcome back if you're a returning viewer. It's really nice that you've chosen to stick around and to listen to some more of my knitty ramblings, and there'll be a lot of knitty ramblings today. I have a lot to talk about. There are a couple of finished objects, a lot of whips, a lot of acquisitions, and a giveaway winner to announce, and then depending how long all of that takes, I might do a bit of a review of some test knitting I've been doing and yeah, explain how I found the test knitting if that's of interest to anyone. So yeah, before we jump in, I am struggling a bit with this grey autumnal light. So I'm right close to the window on this side, and then I've got a light facing me on this side, and hopefully between the two we can get a pretty accurate lighting. But I think this might just be something to battle as the days are getting shorter. I'm very fortunate that I work from home, and so I can find time in the day, usually if I work a bit later, to record when it's light outside. But apparently even filming in the middle of the day isn't quite bright enough at the minute, so let's see how we get on. And before I start with finished objects, I can start with what I'm wearing. So this is my Magnolia Bloom cardigan, and it's been on the podcast a few times as an idea and then as a whip and then as an FO last time, although it was still a bit damp last time, so it wasn't quite ready to show. So it's finished and I'm wearing it and it's fully dry, and I don't think I like it. Controversially maybe, I am considering frogging this project. So as you can see, so this is on, it's lovely, like the pattern is a really interesting, I'll put some footage actually of it up close. It's a really lovely pattern. It is a bobble and sort of leafy lace stitch pattern. It is knit in in Cascade 220 in the pumpkin spice colourway, and it's held together with 2 strands of Hobby Diablo mohair in the chestnut colour, I think. And it's this beautiful, like, rich autumnal colour, and I love the colour. And this yoke, I also really like how it looks, but I'm just having fit issues with this. So there are 3 things that I don't love. So the first thing is the yoke it's quite deep, so it's down here, and really my arm is there. So if I wear this the way it's comfortable, I just have too much fabric. Like I have way too much fabric in the yoke. You can see it's like folding down, and then too much fabric here. But then if I wear it sort of loosely, I just feel like it's falling off my sleeves and it just feels it's not very comfortable. The second is the length of this. So yeah, I can stand, you can see it's like pretty much bang on hip length, which is fine. But I don't wear I crop a lot of my cardigans because I tend to wear high-waisted jeans and dresses and skirts, which also at my waist, and so I like my cardigans to sit there. And I didn't crop this because the button band is like, you knit the button band as you go, and where I was thinking of cropping it, I needed to knit further to the next button to suit like the pattern, so I could find a buttonhole, and it ended up being too long. I probably actually could take it up by 2 buttonholes. Like there's one here and there's one here, there's one here, and I probably could crop them by quite a bit. And the third thing is I'm just really struggling to fit it into my wardrobe. I'm wearing it today with just a black vest and a pair of black jeans, but I don't generally wear this. This isn't an outfit I'd pick out. I don't feel particularly like myself in it. And so I just think if it's not something I'm going to reach for, then there's no point in me having the garment. So I have a couple of options. I could gift this, which is probably the easiest thing to do. The pros are someone else gets to wear it, which is lovely. The cons are I don't know who I'd give it to that this would fit. My mum is slighter than I am, so it would be too big for her. and I'm not really sure who else would wear it. And I love this yarn, so I kind of want to keep it. The second option would be to rip it up and crop the jumper. This would solve the length issue and potentially make it more wearable, but it's not going to fix this yoke depth issue I'm having. And the third is to frog the yarn and just re-knit something, which originally I was planning to crop it, and I sort of settled with the plan, let's crop it. And now I'm thinking I want to frog it. I have some more of this yarn, of both the yarns I used, and I think it would make a really nice sweater number 9, which I also saw on the Potter and Bloom podcast. She's doing the same pattern in the Cascade 220, and I think I suit this colour. I think it will fit in my wardrobe. I would love to have a finished object that I can wear in this colour, so I might start knitting the sweater number 9 in the leftovers I have, which is quite a lot, probably 300 meters, and then just start knitting from the bottom of this cardigan up. Is that an awful idea? I don't really want to frog these bobbles, that's going to be horrible, but I'm thinking if I start frogging at the sleeves and at the body of the sweater, maybe I won't need to use all of it. Is that incredibly wasteful? I'm not sure. But yeah, that's my dilemma. I'll keep this on for now. That's me talking for like 5 minutes about this. It's a bit of nonsense, but yeah, let me know what you think. If you've got any great ideas what to do. I honestly want to just like stop filming right now and cast on the sweater number 9 and just finish it, because it's on like size 8 maybe needles. I've made one before, but it was an acrylic when I first started knitting, and it's not very good. So yeah, that's my first dilemma, and as per usual, I'm sure I'll have more over the course of filming today. But that's what I'm wearing. Enough rambling, and let me show you my first of 2 finished objects. Okay, ran over. My first finished object is a no-frills sweater. It's my navy no-frills sweater, which is a pattern by Petite knit. I think I've talked about this pattern on every single episode of the podcast, and I was going to say this will be the last time for a while, but I'll probably wear it next time, so maybe not. It's not going to show up super well because it's so dark and navy, but it is a beautiful colour, and it is a super simple pattern. It's just top-down raglan in a DK weight. So it's finished. I have not blocked it because I only finished it last night, and I knew if I blocked it, it would be dry in time to show you. So I'll probably block it this afternoon. So the changes, I made one of these before. Sorry, I'm having a very big hair day today, so if I keep touching it, I'm sorry if it's distracting. So the changes I made one before and I wear it all the time, but it's too big, or it doesn't fit the way I want it to fit. It's more oversized and too short from what I planned. So I changed that with this one. So I knit a much smaller size. My size should place me in a size 4 like garment, but that was with 15 centimeters of positive ease. So I think I knit this between the 2nd and the 3rd size this time. So it's definitely a bit tighter, but I'm fine with that. It's like a much more fitted, classic fitting jumper. I also extended it, so it's, you can't really tell, but it's a bit longer than the last one anyway. And I also made the ribbing on the sleeves a bit longer. It's flaring out a bit, but it'll go when it gets blocked. And I think the sizing is much better. A few things, the sleeves are much tighter on this one, which is fine, but I do think that the bottom half of the sleeves I'll probably block quite aggressively to get a bit of space in there. If I'd realised, I probably would have stopped decreasing like maybe here and just knit the rest of the sweater straight. But it's fine, like it's not a proper issue. And I think that's all. Oh, I cast on the smallest size for the neckband because I find my neckband, my other one, sits quite wide. So I cast on the smallest number of stitches and then increase until the size between the 2nd and 3rd. And this is my favourite woolly knit. I didn't bring the leftovers. It is a woolly knit cone of British wool. The cone is 500 grams and it's fingering weight, and I held 2 strands together to make this pattern. It is their merino wool, sorry, not their British wool. I love what they do. I think I'm slowly but surely encouraging everyone around me to buy some and try some. It's lovely. This is less sheepy than their than the British wool, much less sheepy and definitely softer. I'll be interested to see how it blocks up. And yeah, I'm excited for this, a really classic pattern. And I will definitely make another one of these at some point. No idea what colour, what yarns. I'd like to make one in what the pattern suggests, which is a strand of fingering or a strand of mohair. So I'll do that at some point. But for now, yeah, just a really, really classic navy, like simple top-down sweater that I think will definitely have like proper space in my wardrobe. I can see this going with a lot of things. And so that is my first FO, but I have another one. So let me grab that. So my second FO is part of a test knit, and I feel like everyone's test knitting this or knitting this or involved somehow. So if you're remotely into podcasts, I'm sure you've seen a few people talk about this already. And on the last episode, I talked about my mittens. So I made, as a tester for the school run pattern collection by Laura of Penrose Knits, and in time for the deadline I finished my mittens, which I shared last time. They're on my Instagram or they're on there, you can have a look at them. But what I finished this time, not quite in time for the deadline, is the headband. And so this is the headband. It is an amazing, it is a twist at the front, picot edged headband. I'll pop it on. Wow, yeah, big hair and a headband are not the best of combinations, but you can see what it looks like on. I look ridiculous right now, but it is an amazing headband. So this pattern is really nice, it's lovely, it's very simple, it's super quick. You seam it up. I used a mattress stitch just because I found it easiest. And then you seam up like the two ends and you get this. And I knit mine in Drops Charisma, which is their 100% wool in this green. I talked before, when I first got this a few episodes ago, that I am planning to make a Spiritual Guardian cowl, which is a lovely cowl pattern by Cat Weaver, as a Christmas gift. And I had a bit too much yarn, like more than I needed, so I used the same yarn that I'm planning to use for that for this. And it's lovely, and if I have enough, well, my plan is to gift this at the same time as I gift the cowl. I didn't love working with this yarn. I found it felt a bit plasticky, but now that it's knit up, I think it feels lovely. So I'd be interested if anyone else has had the same with Drops Charisma. I'm a huge Drops fan. I really like their stuff. I especially like their alpaca blends or their alpaca wool. Alpaca yarn, sorry. But yeah, this one wasn't my favourite. First time I've used it. But I've seen people use it before, a lot for like colour work, I think. So yeah, it's really cool. And I'm really glad to have it. This was a pretty quick knit. You knit it flat and then you seam it up and you stitch it together and it's all done. So yeah, I would recommend this. Again, I think what would be really cool, and I think I said this with the mittens as well, is that this pattern collection is great for using up scraps and it's really good for gift knitting. So you can mix and match them. I myself would like to make at some point like a full set of accessories, so like mittens and a scarf, or probably a cowl and a headband and a hat for myself, all in the same yarn. And up until then I'm definitely going to make at least one, maybe two pairs of mittens for Christmas for gifts, and maybe another headband because it's dead cute, and it's really satisfying that it's finished. So yeah, that is my second FO, which is my school run headband. It's a pattern which is now live and online, along with the school runs mittens and school run hat pattern from Penrose Knits. So those are all of my FOs, and that's because I've been knitting a lot of whips, which are still whips. But before I get into whips, I thought we'd do the giveaway winner. Now, I am recording this on the 9th of November and the giveaway ends on the 9th of November, but it's still the middle of the day for me. So what I'll do is I will record now, and when I'm editing I'll add in the winner once after the day's ended. So probably tomorrow. And so here is the winner. I've just used a random comment generator to pick the winner of the podcast. So I'll put them on screen somewhere here. A huge congratulations, I'll also tag you below. And you've won this lovely little prize. So there is a really cute little project bag with stitches on it. This is from the Woolly Tangle, and a skein of Wekku yarns in this amazing speckled colour, which is lovely, and also a gauge stitch, which is not in here, so I had to go and find where I put it because I thought they were all together. So I will pop it down below, and I'll also add the podcast email address, and you can either pop me an email or send me a DM on Instagram and let me know that you're the winner and where I'm sending this to, anywhere in the world. I'm interested to see how that goes and how long it takes and things, so let me know if you're the winner, and a huge congratulations. And for everyone else, the question was, what is your favourite yarn to work with, and preferably an affordable yarn? And there were so many responses. I think there are almost 300 comments, and so what I'm planning to do is to put together a document, probably as a PDF, and share all those answers. So I will list the yarn that was recommended, and like the weight of that yarn, where it's readily available, the cost, if I can find like a common price point or I can put a range down. And what I'd also really like to do is add a column about the processes. As I say, I've talked a lot on the podcast about being quite pro affordable yarns and making sure that knitting is a really accessible hobby, and that knitters don't feel like they always have to use like really expensive hand-dyed yarn or, you know, really luxury brands or luxury fibres. However, often affordability comes at an environmental cost, and the processes aren't always super sustainable. So I will attempt to put in the notes that I can find in the same PDF about the processes behind how the yarns are made, like where it's sourced and the processes and that information, just because as much as I want to encourage accessibility, I think it's also just really important. You know, I'm filming this in peak COP26 mindset, and we're talking a lot in the world. You know, we really have to make sure that we're all making individual steps on sustainability. And so I will try to add that information so that if you are interested in those yarns, you also have an understanding of their processes and environmental impact. I don't think I'll be able to find that for every brand that's listed, so I'll do my best. And if anyone has any more information once I share that, do let me know. I will work on it between now and the next podcast, and then hopefully in the next podcast I can release the document and pop it somewhere that everyone can view it and refer back to it. And yeah, so that's it for the giveaway, and a huge thank you to everyone who participated and left a comment with their yarns. There are some that I'm desperate to try, and I think the number one has to be Holst Super Soft cones. You'll see at the end I have a lot of acquisitions, and so I have no need to buy this anytime soon, but I think the next yarn buying I'll be doing might have to be some Sandesgarn. But there are so many others that sound amazing. So yeah, if you can't wait for the document, have a scroll through the comments of the last podcast episode. Wow, I'm struggling today to get my words out. But yeah, a huge thank you for those, and a huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed. The giveaway was for 1,000 subscribers, and we're now like almost at 3k, which is crazy, absolutely mind-blowing, that so many people want to return to listen to me ramble about yarn. So thank you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that's the giveaway for now. No more giveaways planned for the near future, but I am keeping an open mind because getting to share things like amazing yarn and patterns and gift bags and gadgets is always fun. So yeah, that is the giveaway. And so I'll take a little breather. I've just now remembered that I made myself a cup of tea before I started filming, and I left it next to the kettle. So I'll get my tea, if it's not really strong and a bit overbrewed, I'll get my tea and I will sit down and we can go through my massive pile of whips that I have to show you. Okay, so whips. I have a lot of whips. They're all, I think, new cast on since the last podcast. Oh, there's a plane somewhere. And the reason there are so many, it's a bit of a saga, so here's the context. 2 weekends ago, we went on an amazing little trip to a cottage in Whitby. So it was my boyfriend's dad's birthday, and his family had booked this lighthouse cottage for the weekend, and I was invited to go, and it was really nice. It was about a 6-hour drive up from the south, but we got there and it was really remote, and it was a beautiful cottage, literally in a lighthouse. But there was no phone signal or internet, so it was quite nice to be, I mean, we weren't off grid because you could walk like 5 minutes up the street and get signal, but it was nice that like it was a bit disconnected, and we just watched some nice movies and had some really nice meals, and anyway, that was lovely. And I'm currently working on 2 deadline knits. So one is a gift and one is a test knit, and the yarn for both I ordered a week before we left for Whitby. And those of you who watched the last episode will know that I was a bit stressed about the yarn arriving in time, because I knew that being away, firstly it was a really long drive, and secondly being away I'd have lots of knitting time, and I wanted to get the yarn for both so I could make a dent in my knitting, and the yarn didn't arrive in time for either. So of course I took new projects with me for Whitby, and so that's why I have 4 whips to show you. So I will start with my Whitby whips, which haven't really been touched since we got back a few weeks ago, but which hopefully I'll be picking up kind of soonish, and then I'll go on to my deadline knits, the ones that I'm worried about. I'm not worried about, but the ones I'm on a strict deadline for. So my first Whitby whip, I will show this one first. This I shared on Instagram yesterday, and I've shared another version on the podcast before, but this is my second Maja cardigan. The Maja cardigan is a pattern by Helene Magnusson for Yarbo. It's a free pattern. It's knit up in Lettlopi, which is a Icelandic wool, and it is a colourwork pattern. So this is what I have so far. I've done the yoke. So this is my Christmas sweater to be. I've used like the garnet red colour and then the white, and I'm super excited. I'm going to do the rest of the body plain, and then I'll do the colour work on the sleeves. And the big difference between this one and the sweater I made is I'm going to steek it. Oh my gosh, I'm horrified. I'm so scared for this. But yeah, so I put my steeking stitches in, and for anyone who maybe doesn't know, steeking is cutting up your knitting. So what I'll do is, because colour work is quite tricky to knit flat, sorry, because colour work is tricky to knit flat, you knit it in the round, and then you add a little panel, and then you cut up the panel, right up the middle of the panel, and then I'll fold these back and knit the button bands on each side. And this is 100% wool, so it's really rustic, so it shouldn't be a worry. Like, there's no reason to be worried about steeking this. I have a sewing machine, I'm quite a competent sewer, so I can do some reinforcements, and it's gonna be fine. But yeah, so I had a lot of fun knitting this. On the last episode, or in the episode where I talked about my Maja, I'll show you my first one. I brought it out just in case anyone hasn't seen it. So this is my first Maja, and I made it a sweater in the grey and the white. So I'm doing the same thing, but in red. And what I mentioned last time is that some of my grey was puckering just on the plain rows. And so a lot of recommendations were to go up a needle size for the colour work. And I was a bit sceptical, because I was like, well, the stitches are loose. Like, there aren't any tight stitches, it's just puckered. But something told me to do it. My inner knitting guru said go up a half needle size, and I did. And so I've gone up, I knit the whole thing at a 4 last time, and I've done this yoke at a 4.5. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's so even. Like, it's really no puckering really at all, much less than last time anyway. And I'm super impressed with that tip. So if anyone else thinks changing your needle size won't make a difference, it does. From a cynic, from me to you, I'll tell you it does. And the only other thing about this pattern is I'm knitting it top down again. I made the jumper top down, the pattern is bottom up, and you join the sleeves and then knit the yoke. I don't know why that freaks me out a bit, but I just did the other way around. So yeah, that's all I'm doing really. And I know my other one fits really well, so I'm just like, if I have to work out how many rows to do, like I'm just copying that one because I like it so much. So yeah, this is my Maja. It's gonna look so cute. I'm gonna be like a little festive elf with my stranded colourwork Christmas jumper. So now that my no frills is off the needles, I'm hoping this can become like my knitting in the round, like emails knitting, and not emails, meetings knitting. And yeah, let's see. So I'm really excited. And I've separated now. Yeah, I've just separated for sleeves. So they're just on its own cable. And that is my first whip, my festive Maja. So there's no firm deadline, but I'd like to get this finished early December so I can wear it for all of December, obviously. But I'm not putting myself under too much pressure because I'm trying to enjoy knitting right now and not get stressed about all my deadlines. And yeah, hopefully next time I'll have some progress. Okay, and so my second whippy whip. I just want to knit on this all the time. I'm sad that it's currently on hold, but I think I'll pick this up over Christmas and get back to it. It is the Stockholm sweater by Petite Knit, which is a pretty plain sort of oversized sweater. I'll pop a picture of the pattern. And goodness, this looks interesting. This is what I have. So I've done the back panel. You knit the back panel and then you pick it up for the sleeves, and then you knit to like the front right and the front left, and then you join them, and then you knit back and forth for a little bit longer, and then I'll join them in the round. So I've done that front join, but I have to still knit a bit more length in the front before I join them. And this yarn, now let's see if I can get this on camera. This yarn is amazing, and it's not quite showing up, I don't think. So I'm holding two strands together. This is the Rust Mix Dropped Alpaca from, I think I got it from Warehouse, and I don't know if you can see, I'll see this in editing, I'm not sure for now. It has these little yellow and blue flecks through it, so it's overall like a really rich red, like a rusty red, but it has these little flecks of blue and yellow that I just think gives it like so much depth. And then I'm holding it with a little nubbin left of Tilia, which is Sandesgarn, no, sorry, that's not right, Sandesgarn Tynne silk mohair in this rust colour, and you can see they're pretty much a straight up match. They're pretty good. So I really enjoyed this. I'm knitting it pretty small. I'm knitting on 3.75mm needles, so it's quite a slow going project, but it's so soft. And this is definitely like I'm enjoying the process, but I want the finished product so badly. I want to wear this. I can kind of understand why people knit everything with a strand of mohair, because it's so soft. Like alpaca and mohair is just dreamy. And I love this colour. Like you can kind of see it's pretty similar to the Magnolia Bloom. You can see why I'm a big fan of this colour. Right now it's very autumnal and very rich. And yeah, I think that this is kind of my motivation to get through some of my bigger projects right now, because I'll be casting this, well, I'll be picking this back up again probably once my deadline knits are done, and I want this. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So the Tilia yarn, not the Tilia, it's the silk. I was really torn between getting the Tynne and the Silkolana Tilia. I got the Tynne, Sandesgarn Tynne, so I keep getting them mixed up. But this and the Lettlopi for my Maja cardigan, I've got them both from No Frills Knitting, which is she's opened up her shop, a new yarn shop in Bristol in the UK. If you're UK based, she ships, I think, everywhere in the UK, and she has some really, really nice stuff. A great yarn selection. It's very plain, but in a nice way. Like a lot of classic neutrals, really nice colours, and then a lot of cool gadgets, like really cool wool soap, and yeah, a lot of stuff to block, a lot of like knitting gadget stuff. So would recommend her shop, just because it's lovely. I would like an excuse to go to Bristol to be able to visit, but I don't have one just yet. And so yeah, that's in my head there was more of this done. Holding it up, it feels a bit pathetic. It's making me a bit sad. But of course this is knitting back and forth, which I'm slower with. So I'm looking forward to getting this past here and then able to knit in the round. and ultimately just getting to wear this. So I think this will feature for the next few episodes once I can pick it back up. But yeah, that is my second whip, and my last whippy whip is the Stockholm sweater by Petite Knit. A note on this, I got myself into quite a tiz because I kept thinking that I was getting the Stockholm sweater and the Oslo sweater confused, like mixed up in my head, and there was only one sweater and I forgot the name. There are two sweaters. There is one called the Oslo and there's one called the Stockholm, and they are practically identical. They have the same gauge, they have the same construction. One has more positive ease, but like one has like 25 centimeters, one has 10 centimeters, but surely it does mean that one is more inclusive because you could knit, it makes a bigger size. But the only difference really is that one is made with 2 strands of mohair and one is with a strand of mohair and a strand of fingering, but it's the same gauge, it's the same pattern. So yeah, I was stuck. I was like, are these the same? Am I going mad? Have I missed something here? And then I just took the dive and went for the one with the most projects on Ravelry because I thought that'd be easier. So I think I'm making the Stockholm, but it could be the Oslo. Who knows? They're the same pattern. Okay, so 2 more whips to go, and these are my 2 deadline whips. So I'll start with the gift knit, which is kind of outside of what I usually make, but I'm happy to, I like when people ask me to make gifts, it's a lovely thing. So I mentioned this on the last podcast, but a brief run through for anyone new or anyone who's not as invested in this as I am and has forgotten, because obviously this is not an important thing for people to remember. I came across a yarn dyeing company called Stewart Yarns through Ruth from the Ruth Loves to Knit podcast, and they are based in the north of Scotland, and I was just nosy and having a look at their colourways, and they have a colourway called Bodach, and Bodach means old man in Gaelic, which is kind of a special word to my mum, and I sent it to her because it was quite fun, like it's quite nice, cute little yarn. And then she asked me to make a shawl for my aunt's 50th birthday. So that's what I'm doing, I'm making her a shawl. So getting this yarn was a bit of a palaver, and it's entirely, I think, the fault of the Royal Mail and not at all the lovely alias Stewart Yarns. But yeah, it was just a nightmare. The first one got lost and then I got the yarn eventually, so that was all that's important. And so I am knitting this shawl up in this colourway, which is Bodach. And you can see it is the most beautiful like bluey green colour. It's got these patches of like gold and this dark green and this pale blue, and it is lovely. And I'm making, now I don't think anyone could hold up a shawl well. After a month of watching shawlography updates, I will do my best, but you probably can't see much of it, or at least all of it. So this is the very beginnings of the Celtic Myths fingering version shawl, and so far all it is some stockinette and a nice little bit border, garter border, but yeah, it's really lovely, and you can get a really good view of the yarn from here. I think it's a pretty accurate showing of how it's knitting up. You knit this up until you have a certain number of stitches, and then there's a border, there's a cable knit border. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's really interesting. It's been interesting to watch the colours go. I was worried for a little bit that they were pulling, but they're not. I think I've just been paranoid. I thought at one point that one side was really dark and one side was really light, but I don't think that's happened. I think it was just a little patch. So I have got about half, no that's not true, I have knit about 30 grams of this. It's fingering weight. So about 30 grams, which must be what, about 120 meters or so? I have no idea. Yeah, maybe less than that, maybe 100 and a bit meters. And I think this calls for 700 meters total. So I am about a seventh of the way there, which is fine. It's going slowly, but it needs to go kind of fast because it is a gift knit for a birthday, which is in 18 days. So what's that, just under 3 weeks? So ultimately, ideally, I would like to get the body of this done this week. So Tuesday, yeah, and then start the cabling next week. And that gives me a few days to get it blocked and sent we will see. If this doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Like, I don't want to stress myself out with knitting that I'm not enjoying it anymore. But yeah, it's just, it's a special birthday, and it was really nice. My mum asked me to make it for my aunt, and I felt very honoured to be asked to make something. So I'd like to make some good progress. And so yeah, I don't really normally knit this colour. I don't really normally knit, I never knit shawls. I've made one before for a gift. So I don't really knit shawls, I don't knit this colour. I don't really knit hand-dyed yarn, so lots of things out of my wheelhouse. But I'm enjoying it, it's a good experience, and it's a beautiful yarn, and it's a lovely pattern. So yeah, no bad things to say. I don't think I'll be jumping to make more shawls after this. I don't really wear shawls. And I think if I were to make one, I would make something really like rustic, maybe like the Grow shawl from Fabrytales. Something that was quite like earthy and, I don't know, does that make sense? So yeah, but it is always really nice to try something a bit new. And yeah, one thing I've noticed is that, so I've knit a fair bit of back and forth, I've knit a few cardigans, things like that. With this yarn, I'm really noticing a difference in my purling and my knitting tension. My knits are much looser than my purls, and I was just wondering, I think it'll block out, like it's not dramatic, and because of the fact it's hand dyed, you can't really notice. But if anyone knows why that might be, or has any tips to help me improve that, I would really recommend, I'd really appreciate some tips if you have any. If not, I'm going to keep knitting and just hope it works and block it out at the end. But yeah, it would be good to know why that is, that my knitting and purling aren't the same. But yeah. So yeah, that is my shawl. Wish me luck, because the deadline is coming. Maybe I'll do some more rows on it this afternoon. I feel a bit better about it. So, final whip. Now I have a few other whips, but I'm not showing them. If anyone was here, the original episode 1, maybe 2, I mentioned it. The Jewel jacket has not been forgotten about. It's just on the back burner because I've lost a bit of passion for it, but that's fine. I also have some socks, Christmas socks. They're going slowly but surely. I'm going to enforce a 20 row a day rule for myself, for my socks, and I'm almost about to turn the heel for my second sock of my second pair of gift knits, and I still have 2 more pairs to do after this. But my last and probably my most exciting whip, maybe, it's exciting me right now. It's a test knit, which is why it's so exciting. So this is a test knit for Sari Nordland, who I think probably everyone knows because she makes amazing designs. I've only knit her socks before, so it's the first time knitting one of her garments. And as soon as I saw the Instagram post that she was looking for testers and this pattern, I had to sign up. And it is the Billie Pullover. It is an all over cable knit sweater knit up in Cascade 220, or hers is, you can knit anything but gauge, but I'm using the same yarn. And the deadline for this is the end of November. However, by the end of November you only have to have finished the yoke and the sleeve, I think. So here's my progress. So I have decided to use the Shire yarn. There, oh, that looks, look how good that looks. Oh. This is just like knitting porn, really, isn't it? This exactly right here. So this is my sweater, and I'm using Shire. So I was really on the fence with yarn choices. I was confident with Shire, but then I got worried that Shire was darker than I thought it was, and so I panic ordered like a neutral, I think River Rock, like a neutral cream colour. But they arrived and I really like the Shire. This is it here. It is a really beautiful greeny colour, and it's really like heathered with some nice yellow, and yeah, it's just really lovely. So super happy with my yarn choice, really excited for this finished project, and so far really enjoying the knit. So it's not a secret test knit, so I can talk about it quite freely. Something interesting about this, so it's a lot of cabling, so the charts are all over the place, and it's quite tricky to get your head around the charts at first. I kind of had like a chart I had my screen, my laptop open with the written instructions and the charts next to each other, because it's like knit row 1 of chart A, then row B, like row 1 of chart C, then go back to the raglan chart. You know, it was all over the place. That was challenging. Also, there's this really chunky neckband, which I think is really pretty, However, you go back and add that on, and I've done that already because I knit the first skein of yarn and then I added this on because it was quite a low neck and I wanted to see how it would fit. So I went back and added that on. Other things about this, I got stitch gauge, I did not get row gauge. And so I've done this, and this is theoretically, this should be enough stitches now for me to split for sleeves. And that is not the case. So it's cables, so it does obviously, it stretches quite heavily. I've tried this on and it hits me like probably here, like right on my upper arm. And I probably want to knit another maybe 1.5 to 2 inches before I split for sleeves. In the pattern, Sari Nordland says this. She says, if you need more space, repeat the charts until you have a big enough yoke. So that's fine. I think, like for my gauge, I should have had X number of stitches per 10 centimeters and I had them per 9 centimeters. So it was like a centimetre short. So I think I need to knit, to get to where she wants the pattern to be, at least 2 more centimeters, and I think I'll knit maybe 3 or 4 to make this fit. And otherwise, I really like this. It's been really, really enjoyable to knit. It was stressful at first and I was getting my cables mixed up, and a couple of times I had to ladder back down and fix the cable, and I felt the pressure to get it right was much higher because it's a test knit. But I'm so excited for the finished object. My boyfriend told me this might be the best thing I've knitted, which we all know is a real asset, a real nice thing to hear. So I'm super excited about this, and almost, I mean, I think today or maybe tomorrow the yoke will be done, and I have until the end of the month to do a sleeve. So if I wanted to, I could just start a sleeve now and then leave the rest for whenever. I think what I'll do is split for sleeves, keep going for now, and then if I'm struggling for time, like prioritise the sleeve and try and get a sleeve done. I think what's likely to happen is by the end of November I will have the body in one sleeve and maybe not the second sleeve, but that's fine. So yeah, that is the Billie Pullover, which is a test knit by Sari Nordland in Cascade 220 in the colourway Shire. And if anyone wants to know, I also ordered River Rock, and I might knit this again in cream because I really love this pattern. So we'll see once it's finished how it is. The only other thing is that I've tried this on, and obviously cables block out dramatically, like it's really, really stretchy, right? But it's just really tricky. Like this looks so small. Like this could fit a 12-year-old. So that's been tricky. And I'm tempted to maybe seam block it now already. I'm not sure. I'd rather just block it all at the end. But if anyone has tips on, I'm asking for all the tips today. Can you tell I'm a bit lost? If anyone has tips on blocking out partially knitted cable sweaters, please let me know below. And that's all for my whips. Before I jump into acquisitions, I want to do a couple of podcast recommendations, if that's okay. So a couple of podcast recommendations. I love recommended podcasts. If I watch someone and they recommend someone and I like them, I always think, if I like them and they like this podcast, surely I'll like this podcast. So I thought I'd recommend a few that I've come across recently that are a bit newer, only in their first few episodes. So the very first one is Skeins of Dreams, the lovely Maja. She is originally from India, or family are in India, and she lives in the US. I don't know where, but I know it took her 6 hours to drive to Rhinebeck. So somewhere within 6 hour drive of Rhinebeck is where she's based. She's a very prolific knitter. She knits amazing lace, amazing colour work. She does shawls, she does sweaters, she does baby knit, she does all of it. And I really like her podcast. I watched all of her episodes. They're really nice. She's just really sweet, like she's really, really nice. A nice person to watch. And in fact, after my last podcast, I had mentioned that there were a few yarns I'd like to try, but they're tough to get a hold of in the UK. And she had said, well, let me know and I can send you some. And I said, well, why don't we do a swap? So we're gonna do a yarn swap. I'm very excited. It's gonna be kind of Christmas time-ish, so it's almost like, yeah, getting a very curated box of yarn from someone who knows knitting. I'm looking forward to this. And of course, being able to select some British yarns to send to her. So if anyone has any suggestions or recommendations for some really good, like niche British yarn. I think non-superwash is a preference. But yeah, let me know. I have a few already. I've already made a list, but I'd love some more, because then I can order a couple of skeins for myself whilst I'm there, and then that's lots of yarny goodness for everyone. The second recommendation is Casey Apple. What an amazing name, Casey Apple, of the Young Folk Knits podcast. She, I think, lives on a farm. Is it a farm? I'm not sure if it's a farm or just somewhere with a lot of land. They have bees and they have some animals, and she lives with her young family in the south of the US, and she's so nice, so lovely. I just feel like I'm, I don't know, having like a cup of tea with a friend watching her. She's so homely. And she also makes amazing things. She has an amazing colour palette, all like neutrals and lovely browns and neutrals and pinks, like a lot of dusty pinks, but then she'll just throw like a red in there. It's so nice. So I would recommend her. It's really fun to watch. She also has an amazingly beautiful Instagram, but her podcast is a lot of fun. And the last one to recommend is, she's only got one podcast episode out, and she has a Welsh name, which I think I'm going to get wrong. But I think she says most people call her Annie. Yeah, so her name is Annie, which is a shortened version of her name, which is Welsh. And she has a podcast called The Pomegranate Girl. And she's lovely. She's so nice. She's very nervous, I think, she says it herself, she's quite nervous in her first episode, which I can very much relate to. And so I thought, this is a really nice podcast. She does a bit of sewing and a bit of knitting. I can see she did Me Made Me, I think. So yeah, she's done a lot of, wow. Sorry, I just saw the most amazing picture of her with these huge balloon sleeves. She's based in Bristol, which is a really cool, like, arty part of the UK, I think. And she seems really creative and really fun and really cool. So yeah, I would recommend her as well. Only one episode, but if everyone can go and watch and give her a little thumbs up or leave her a lovely comment, then hopefully she'll be encouraged to film another episode. So yeah, those are my podcast recommendations. And the last thing to talk about is a bit of yarn acquisitions. Okay, so acquisitions. I have a fair bit of yarn that's arrived in the past little while. So I brought some of it here to show you, well, pretty much all of it. So yeah, let me get stuck in. I just noticed that something, the first thing to show you, has rolled across the floor. So I got it. This is not something I bought, it's a gift. And it's not, it's already made, it's already crafted. But I thought it was really cool. I wanted to show it because it's a very fibre friendly gift. And look at this, let me get my head out of the way. This bauble. It's a crocheted bauble. So a friend of mine is a really good crocheter. She does a lot of amigurumi, and it's got like lame, is that what it's called? So like glittery thread. And she made these for everyone, and we got one now already, so we can put them on our Christmas trees. We're doing a Christmas dinner and Secret Santa and things mid-December. We got them last weekend for that. And I love it. Some people got like really festive colours like greens and blues, and sorry, greens and reds, but mine is these like really, this perfectly matches like my room and my rug and everything, and I love it because this is so silly, but I secretly think this side looks a bit like a nipple. And I love it, look at it. So this is my first acquisition. In case anyone likes to crochet and particularly wants to make Christmas gifts, I'd recommend it. I think you crochet each half and then you crochet them together over like a cardboard bubble. But yeah, how cute is that? So I got that this past weekend when we went to Cambridge. There were a group of us, so it's like my boyfriend's friend group from school, and there were I think 8 of us that went, and it was really, really lovely. One of his friends is studying there, she's doing her PhD, and so we went to sort of hang out for the weekend. And it was quite a crafty crowd, so there were 3 of us there that were really into craft, and so we went to a couple of craft shops. And so I have 2 things to show from there. So the first one is a sock yarn. It is this Suberba, is it? Yeah, Rico vintage. and this is the colourway. It's really pretty. I don't need sock yarn, but they're really nice colours, so I bought it anyway. No excuses. It's like a brown, a pink, a red, might be self-striping, I'm not sure, and it's, yeah, 420 metres, so I'll probably make some socks with this. I want to make socks for myself actually. I've not made my own socks in a while, but it'll probably be after Christmas before that happens. And the second thing from the same shop, which is called, I think, like Knit Stitch Sew or something like that, in Cambridge, is also a Rico Essentials, and it is the Alpaca, it's a really bashed up label, Alpaca Luxury Sock, and this is 62% virgin wool, 22% polyamide and 15% alpaca, and it is, oh, it's so soft. It's DK weight, and originally I thought I'll make some DK weight socks. I made DK weight socks before. That was the Sari Nordland pattern. I'll put a picture in of them. The Tayval socks, which have influenced Caroline of Caroline's Knits to make a pair, and I'm excited for her because I love mine. I wear them all the time. And I thought maybe I'd make some more DK socks. However, this morning I was looking at this yarn, and I think this yarn, if you can see the halo on it, would be perfect at a pattern which calls for one strand of fingering, one strand of mohair. So maybe I'll keep a hold of this and get through some of my knitting, and if I find a gap in my life for a soft dove grey sweater, I'll get a few more balls of this and make it into a jumper. But if not, and I can't find any more, then I'm just going to make it into like a hat or even a pair of socks. But it's so soft. I'm obsessed with this. But you will see why I will not be knitting any sweaters or getting new yarn soon, and that is because I placed a yarn order with Woolly Knit. So Woolly Knit make yarn, well, they make a lot of different things, but the product I really love are their yarn cones, which are 500 grams cones of yarn in British wool, 100% British wool, and the colours are really lovely and they knit up really nice and they smell really sheepy. And I've used them a couple of times before, and then over Halloween weekend they had a Halloween discount which was 2 hanks for £12, so £6 a hank, and a hank is 200 grams, so I bought 6 hanks, which is 2 sweater quantities, of course, because what else would I do? So these things are huge. So this is my first one. Oh my gosh, you can't really tell, but these are ginormous. They're huge hanks. So this is the first one. I cannot remember the colour. I'll pop it in. It's got a cool name, I think. And it is a really nice like slate grey, and I have 3 of these. Oh my goodness, they're so soft. They're just so sheepy and so lovely. This is like a knitter's drug, I think, this smell. So I have 3 of these, and I think I will be making the Jenny sweater by Petite Knit, which has not even been released yet. But I think I'll hold a strand of this and a strand of mohair together to make the Jenny sweater by Petite Knit, which I've seen a few in this colour, and it's just so nice. It is a smocking stitch sweater, and so it's knit, I think you knit like 2x2 rib, and then you have to like pull a yarn through, like pull a stitch through, and I think it's a bit of a labour of love. So that'll likely be the start of next year. But I think, so I have a lot of yarn here, enough to hold 2 strands together to make a sweater, so I think I'll need like 1.5 for that sweater, and for the rest this will be my accessories extravaganza, which I think I'll have to do in January. But I want to make myself a Spiritual Guardian cowl, a pair of scroll run mittens, and a hat, maybe the Oslo hat by Petite Knit. All 3 in like a slate grey. I got a new black coat, I think it'll go really nicely. And yeah, that is my first of my Woolly Knit hanks in this beautiful grey. Okay, and of course I couldn't just get 3 skeins, so I got 3 more. Oh, this is the British wool in the Harvest colourway. It is this like, I'm just gonna steal it this. It is this like ochre golden colour, and it's amazing. It's so nice. I always think of this being the exact colour that Inga of Knitting Traditions always says is her colour, this exact one. I love it so much. I want to wear this already. And so I don't know what to make this into. I'm thinking it just looks so cozy. It looked like a little, I don't know what it looked like. I'm thinking I'll make this will be a sweater soon. Pretty much I think will be the next thing I cast on once I've cleared the 4 current whips I'm on. And maybe I'll make the Oslo sweater again, but instead of doing a strand of mohair and a strand of this, I'll just do 2 strands of this together, because I think that would be really nice. However, if anyone else has a suggestion, oh, maybe also the office sweater with Caroline from Caroline's Knits made. She did the chest knit for it. That's also a really nice classic pattern. But yeah, I'd like a really classic, straightforward, like, yeah, timeless sweater pattern for this. And I don't think I want to make another no frills. So yes, suggestions will be very welcome. Maybe like a nice, one with a nice chunky folded collar would be really cool. Yeah, so I'll hold 2 strands together, so a DK weight pattern. And this is just gonna be like, I'm gonna look so good. So yeah, that is my second purchase. I think at this stage, Woolly Knit should just send me some free yarn, because I feel like I'm sending everyone to go buy their products all the time. But I love this, and I will say that this arrival has spurred the purchase of a Swift and a ball winder, because I wind up balls by hand, hence why I have things like this, right, because I wind it by hand. However, these are 200-gram fingering weight scale, like hang, it's not even a hang, it's just like a sort of tied up ball, and I can't do it. I don't have the patience for it. So I got a Swift and a ball winder, which I think will arrive maybe tomorrow, which I'm hoping to use. I'm hoping it'll be big enough. Like, these are pretty big. They're quite wide. So I'm hoping this will do the job. Can you just not knit it and just wear it out now? I think I lost the plot in this podcast. I'm talking such nonsense. Okay, and I have one final thing to show. Of course I do. Because apparently, you know, what is that? 1200 grams of yarn wasn't enough. So the last thing is a little baby skein, and this is also from Stuart Yarns, who made the Bodach colourway of the shawl I'm knitting. This is a beautiful label, Stuart Yarns, and this is the colourway. And it is this wonderful, like, winey red. It is my boyfriend's mum's birthday tomorrow, and she got into knitting quite recently, and she's made a couple of Gallant sweaters by Kadri. Is it Kadri? I think it's Kadri. And she's made a ranunculus, a short sleeve one. And so I thought, I know she wants to make another ranunculus, so I thought I'd get her, she did a short sleeve blue one. So I ordered 2 different skeins of yarn, and I've gifted her actually the other one. It's a bit more of like a neutral pink, and this is a bit of a richer pink. So I now have this, and it's the marshmallow base, which is 100% superwash merino. So no socks of this. So yeah, I think for now I'll go into stash, and I'll maybe try to make a gift knit soon. My grandmother would love something in this. Her birthday's in January 8th, so maybe I'll find something to make her for then. But my fingering weight shawl is enough fingering weight for now. So that is all my acquisitions. I think that means I'm done. Goodness. So, yeah, if you're still here, thank you for sticking around. There was a lot to show today, and a lot of requests for help. So if anyone has some help on any of the things I asked for, like how to even out my knit and purl stitches when I'm working flat, or some recommendations for great British yarns, please let me know. If you don't have that but want to say something nice or leave a comment, let me know what you're working on, or give me some pattern recommendations, because my queue just is growing and growing, and I always want some more suggestions, especially if you have suggestions for what to do with my giant yarn baby. This moment when my camera starts turning off is when I know I need to stop recording. So that's all for this time. Yeah, it's been a really busy few weeks, and I'll hopefully tune back in, I don't know, 10 days, 14 days, something like that. I'll film sometime the week after next, I think. So yeah, it's a busy few weeks. We've had 2 weekends away, one in Whitby, one in Cambridge. Went to a gig, have another gig tomorrow. And yeah, lots of really fun stuff coming up. It's been really nice. We're still continuing the Edinburgh flat hunt. It's harder than I thought it would be. There are lots of properties and they disappear so fast. So we've applied for a couple, so fingers crossed we hear some good news in the next few days. That would be really nice. Because it'd be nice to just have the place and to know we've got somewhere to move to in the new year. And yeah, I've been knitting absolutely loads, which has been really nice. So I am going to go off and have some lunch and finish my cold tea and put away this monstrous pile of yarn and finished objects and things that I've created around me. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I hope to hear from you and I really hope to see you again next time. Hope you have a really nice couple of weeks and hope you enjoy your knitting. Bye!